Okay, so here we go again. We're doing another shot at this. And the question this time is, which religion is right? Right? And this is something that's been bugging me quite a bit for a long time. And the basic 30-second version is, all the world's religions require its followers to say, this religion is right and all the other religions are wrong. But I would propose that there is no way to tell between the several well-attended, popular world religions which of them is right. They're equally right by all measures that you can put against them. And so we have kind of a contradiction here. Religion requires you say, this one is true, the others are false, but there's no way to know which is true and which one is false. And so it's a predicament. It's hard. To preface this, if you watched my first little one of these videos, I do have hope that God exists, that there's some good, some intrinsic worth in this existence, and it's very possible that that is an omniscient being, God, who's in control and who set this up, and we have souls and people matter. I'm on board with that stuff. That makes sense. But the concept of religions gets tricky. Okay, so let's do a little outlining action. Okay, so the first point is religion should be logical, right? It should be reasonable. And that's not a new idea, right? Many of the famous theologians of Catholicism and other religions have said that, right? If your religion tells you something that does not make sense, that is logically false, then you should get rid of that religion because it's wrong. Religion should agree with truth. Religion should be truth. It should agree with logic. Thomas Aquinas said that. The really old guy who was a doctor of the church a long time ago. Lots of people have said that. Okay, that's all I got. First bullet is easy. Okay, the second point is what I already said, right? All the religions of the world, as far as I know, the big ones, will say that our religion is right and the other ones are wrong. And if you don't believe that, then you can't be in our religion. You can't say the Catholics are right and say, oh, I'm also a Muslim. It's very exclusive. You got to say it's this one or it's this one, and the other ones are wrong. And that makes things tricky. So that's all I got for the second bullet. See, we're just chugging along here. Okay, it's my progress bar is misleading though. It's like Windows, because this one's going to be a bigger one. Okay, so last big point here in the question is there's no way to pick. There's no way, if you list out the religions, to say this one is better than that one. That was what I would propose. There's no way to tell. And there are various tests you could use to try to see which religion is better than another one, right? And one would be the most obvious and most important one would be ethical teachings, right? If you've got religions A, B, and C, and religion C says go and murder your friends once a year, C is definitely out of the running, right? And if religion B says you should steal, it's okay, do it all the time, then B is probably out of the running. Well, you say, oh, then it's A. Right, but that's not the case, right? There are some tricky gray areas that the religions will disagree on. Alcohol, abortion, contraceptives. The different religions will have slightly different takes on those topics, but those topics are really hard to just sit down and come up with an answer with, right? They're very gray, very complex issues. And so that's not a very easy way to evaluate which religion is right, because it's really, really hard / impossible to evaluate an answer on those issues. Second area you might want to look at is miracles, right? You could say, well, if there's one religion that has scientifically proven, many witnesses, well-documented miracles, then that religion is probably right, right? If religion A has on camera water being turned into wine by one of their holy leaders, and there's a scientist from the University of Minnesota right there testing the water beforehand and saying, yep, it's water, and testing it right afterwards and saying, yep, it's wine, and there's 5 of them, and none of them adhere to this religion, and they're all non-biased, and they all agree unanimously that this was a miracle, then you'd be like, oh, religion A is right. But if you do the research and the legwork, and I've not done a ton of research, but I've done some, and it doesn't seem like any one religion has any, 100% absolutely scientifically confirmed miracles. There's some that might seem promising, right? There's a Catholic host and wine and body that was actually turned into human flesh, supposedly, and I think that one is recognized by the Vatican as being legit, and scientists have studied the tissue, and it doesn't decompose, and it is actually people's skin. So that could be potentially proof right there. But then Islam has some other pretty amazing things in their religion, right? The Quran correctly states the exact percentage of water and land that the earth is made of, right? The surface area of the earth in water and in land. Correct to like several decimal places, like super accurate, right in the Quran. There's no way they could have known that when it was written. It's right there in the text. We didn't find that was actually true until recently. That's pretty convincing too. So there's lots of good miracles on both sides, on all sides. All religions claim to have lots of miracles. None of them have absolute proof that those miracles actually happened. So we're not getting anything out of this bullet. You could say, if there's one religion, let's say religion A has been around for 50,000 years, we have historical, actual texts and tablets with the commandments of that religion carved on it from buku long time ago, and the other 3 do not have that long history, then you could say, well, A is probably right, because if God actually came down and inspired this religion and appeared to the prophets and said, this is the truth, tell it to the people, then he probably would have done it a long time ago and got us started early. And so if this one's been around for so much longer than the others, and it's got this much archaeological evidence that has been around for that long, then that would be a plus for that religion. But all of the religions have been around for thousands of years. Judaism is older than Christianity, is older than Islam, is older than a lot of the other ones. And they're all at least 1,500 years old. So that's not a very distinguishing factor. And the other thing you could look at is conversion, right? If a lot of people convert from religions B and C into religion A, that would mean, potentially, that a lot of other people are thinking about this too, and doing research, and deciding that religion A is right and the other 2 are B and C are wrong, and so that would be good evidence for A, potentially, because then you're pulling from other people's knowledge and wisdom too, not just what one person thinks. But I think the truth of it is not many people convert. And those who do, so most people stay with the religion they were born with, right? I would argue the number one predictor of your religion is the religion of your parents. Like, 90, 80% sure that if your parents were Muslims, you will be a Muslim. If your parents were Lutherans, you will be a Lutheran. Whatever. And the people who do convert, I would argue, convert for reasons other than I've studied this for 3 years and I know for a fact that this religion is true. I doubt many people convert for that reason. And if they do, that's awesome, but is one person's, I would like to see their research. But I think most people probably convert because either they get married to someone of a different faith, and to make the family run smoother, one or the other converts so they're the same, or because you move, right? And so now all of a sudden all your friends, all your neighbors, all of the schools and churches are of a different religion, and so to make things smoother, you convert when you move countries or whatever. Or because you want to feel like you're moving forward in your spiritual life, and you've been dissatisfied with your current religion for whatever reason, bad experience with your parents trying to force it on you, or you knew some goofballs who were in that religion, or you've had an unsatisfying life while you were in that religion, and so you're like, you know what, I want some change. I think this religion is right. I read a book, I cracked open the sacred text of the Quran or the Bible or the Torah, and I really like what I'm seeing. I've discovered something. I'm moving forward in my life. Hooray, new religion. And that may be actually a false positive. You may be changing just because you want change, just because you want something new. And I think those factors would account for the bulk of conversions. And the conversions go both ways, right? Lots of people convert from A to B or B to A. It's not one-sided. Okay. So that's basically the question. Right? There's a logical fallacy here. Religion requires you, if you want to be a good Catholic, you need to say the Muslims are wrong, and the Hindus are wrong, and the Jews are wrong. We are the only one true religion. In order to be a good Muslim, you need to say that the Catholics have got some stuff wrong, and the Jews have got some stuff wrong. Islam is the one true religion. But at the same time, it's impossible to know which religion is right. There's no way to put one over the other. And that's a contradiction. That's a problem. There's an issue there. And so that's the question. Done talking about the question. Okay, we're done. No, just kidding. So the last two things are why does this matter, right? And the two obvious ones for me are, if religion is asking this of me, it's asking me to say this religion is right and the others are wrong, but I can't say that, then that makes me lose a little of my trust in my religion, because religion should be logical, and they're asking me to do something which I think is illogical, that it doesn't make sense. And so that's a bit of a negative on my evaluation of, is this religion true? Are any of the religions true? Right. And secondly, for me personally, I am a Catholic. I was born Catholic. I was raised Catholic. And I don't disagree with what the Catholic Church teaches. Its ethical laws are just and wise, and they make sense. And their teachings about God seem reasonable and true. But they're very similar to all the other religions' teachings about God and ethics. And the Catholic Church, in particular, requires that you be a Catholic to go to communion. You cannot be a Muslim and receive communion at a Catholic Mass. It's not allowed. It's a mortal sin, and you go to hell if you do that. And so it's a big deal. And if the only reason I'm a Catholic is because I was born Catholic. Because I promise you, if I was born in Saudi Arabia and both my parents, same people, awesome people, but they were both Muslims, I would be Muslim. I guarantee you I would be Muslim. I'd be an Islamic person. And so if that's the only reason I'm a Catholic, is that dice roll of birth, does that count? Am I Catholic enough to go and receive communion? And I would say I'm not. I would say I'm not a real Catholic. That doesn't count, right? That's just luck. That's blind flipping the coin. How does that make me actually a member of this religion instead of that one? I would say it doesn't. I would say it doesn't. Okay, that's all I got. That's the question. That's my thoughts on it. I didn't draw anything this time cool, so maybe I'll try to lay some stuff on top to make it cool. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching.